Hey everybody, welcome to another good e-reader review video. My name is Michael.
And this is Peter.
Today we have the Bebook Touch. This is the latest e-reader that the company's produced. You have a 6-inch e-ink Pearl display, so it's fairly current with what's being offered by Kobo, Amazon, and Barnes & Noble. You have an 800 megahertz processor, 4 gigs of internal storage, a battery life roughly about a month or so. It really depends on what you do with it. If you're surfing the web, it could quickly go down.
It did
very
seem
fast.
like when we were downloading things such as books and PDFs, it was draining quite quickly.
Yeah, so Peter here is going to show you all the specs.
The entire device features this hard kind of rubber plastic type material, whatever it may be called. It offers a decent amount of grip. It kind of feels like the ones on the Simple Touch from Barnes & Noble. You have a back button / home button. If you press it once, it goes back. If you press and hold it for 2 seconds, it takes you to home. There's no buttons on the device anywhere, so when you're trying to access menus, you may not find them, such as the web browser. There's no way to access any settings. There's nothing on the left side of the device, nothing going on the back, nothing on the right side. On the top, there's a status indicator light. There's also a power / standby, and they don't explain what that M or W is in the user manual. We checked it out top to bottom. It doesn't say what it does. We also have micro SD card slot, micro USB, and hard factory reset button. There's also a little port here that looks like a microphone, but once again, it does not explain what that actually does in the user manual or anywhere else. So now Michael's going to explain a little bit what we have on the screen here.
Yeah, this is an Android e-reader. And as you can see here, we have our own good e-reader app store, which means that you could, in essence, install whatever you want.
And this is not a picture. It is our working app store, as you see Michael demonstrating.
Yeah,
or clicking on stuff.
It took a while to actually get it to work, and in a future video, we will sort of document the entire process on how to get this working the way that we have it here. But as you can see,
it is indeed no different than if you had it on, say, a tablet or even your computer. It is fully working, and it tells you how much percentage along with how much MB. So same kind of screen here. We'll click install.
Yeah, so this is no rooting required.
No.
This is the functionality sort of right out of the box. So we're installing Google Books, but we have Kindle and Kobo and Eldico installed here. So we'll just, as a proof of concept, we'll just click open.
And here's your and here it is. So the app is now running on the device, and it's prompting you to either sign in or create an account. So you can see that it does fully download the application from our app client.
Yeah, this is really the only Android e-reader that out of the box allows you to install your own APKs. I know Nook Simple Touch and Sony e-readers, it only really works if you root it,
right.
Whereas this, it's fairly solid. So
So
this means Gmail, you
Yep.
can check your email,
Exactly.
a lot of other things.
Play some Angry Birds, perhaps, and
Well,
very
if you could stomach.
if you have some crazy patience.
Okay, so this is the main interface here. You have your library, bookstore, pictures, browser, notes, and settings. Now, what's very cool about the bookstore and browser tab is you can actually establish links to it. So
If you go to settings here, you'll see bookstore URL. You can actually type in whatever site you want that link to visit. So we've clicked Kobo, but we've inputted Kobo Books. So when you click on that, it's actually going to go right to the Kobo Books website.
yeah, so this allows you to basically input the bookstore of your choice. So whether it's Kobo, Smashwords, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or whatever company that you want to deal with, you can have the power to do that.
Very flexible.
Now, this only reads a specific amount of ebook formats. You're looking at EPUB, PDF, FB2, text, HTML, RTF, or MOBI, and then it supports variants of Adobe DRM. So you can buy EPUB books from other companies and via Adobe Digital Editions load them on here. So a web browsing experience, fairly okay, but as we kind of said in our intro, if you do browse the internet, your browser will drain the battery's life like no one's business.
Yeah, we were messing around with some downloads and stuff, and we went down from about 30% to 15 within a couple minutes, whereas its advertised shelf life on one charge should be at least a month. So wireless connectivity will drain the device to some extent.
Right. So your main library shelf is sort of this is what you're going to be seeing like on a daily basis.
I'm going to open up Night Road by Kristen Hanna. A little bit of a delay when you get into the book. Page turns they're kind of slow, but it is displaying quite a bit of text right now. What we're going to do is we're going to increase the text size so it'll be a little bit more readable. You can do this one of two ways. You can actually do a pinch and zoom gesture. It'll up the scale of text one stage at a time, although it is fairly confusing if you don't do it right. It's just going to kind of freeze the device. So you guys can try that on your own there. We'll just press the middle for now. So you see a number of settings here. Rotate, because it doesn't have a gyroscope, you have to press the rotate button to turn it into landscape. You also have font, and here you can adjust the font sizes. So everything changes live for the most part. A little bit of a flash every time you do that. So this is a lot more readable. So we're going to keep it there for a sec, and we're going to change the margins. And you'll see we can change the margins a little bit. No line spacing, no themes, nothing like that. So you can see it's a little bit more readable. Page turns are not really any more faster, but they won't entirely take you out of the book. Long press, you can start a highlight. You can press on the note to create a note. Everything's really slow on this. See, it missed an O. The device is pretty slow. Doesn't always register your touches. See, there's a note there. Takes quite a long time to do anything like that. You see here that it by default pulls up the Russian to English dictionary, and it doesn't really search for your word right away. And we've actually tried even going to the end of the word and then pressing enter, and even then it doesn't search for your word, so it's a little bit broken right now. You can click on these words down here to get a Russian to English kind of definition, but a lot of them, like prelates and abbey and stuff, a lot of these aren't even in English, like so that's just the dictionary experience by default.
Yeah, so obviously the dictionary experience is a bit underwhelming, and it doesn't really seem like there's any way to get user-loaded dictionaries on it at this point.
Right. You also have emails. You can manually set up an email. In the user manual, it's not too clear on how to do this either, so there are options for that, though. And final thing is ranges of highlights. It's kind of cool because you see these little gliders here. You actually can put them absolutely anywhere. So you can see that it did freeze on me there, and I wasn't quite done, but it did highlight it. The thing is very sluggish. You have to be very patient. I didn't even open that, and it just happened there. So we're going to go ahead and close that. So notes work. One final thing is if we press in the middle, handwriting. This is a neat feature, although it's not very controllable because you can't choose pen size or anything like that until you press the button there, and it's not really... There we go. So it's decent. It's just, I mean, it's no Icarus or Pocketbook with the savable annotations and all that kind of stuff, but it is there. You can underline things and delete them and save them and all that kind of stuff, but it's more of just a gimmick than really usable.
Yeah, I mean, bare bones, this is an e-reader, and the page turns are fairly slow, but once you can kind of get past that, you know, you could change the size of the fonts, you can make highlights, notes, and more particularly, you can turn pages pretty fast. I probably wouldn't get too mixed up in doing notes and handwriting and stuff like that. You know, as you can see, it's fairly respectable. I mean, it's not as fast as a lot of other e-readers we looked at, but then again, it's not as slow as some of the e-readers that we've looked at. So it does offer a lot of control. I like, you know, basically the ability to be able to configure what business I want to do business with. So it's like one click, and if I click on the web browser, we've set it up so it goes to like our website by default. You may want to pull up your personal website, or maybe Google or Yahoo, or if you are a Bing user. But the internet experience is fairly slow. Like, it takes a while for web pages to load up.
And then most of the time it just doesn't even recognize what you've typed in.
Yeah. So
just the reality of it. We're showing it to you live as we do it here. Doesn't really read JPEGs. We found we have had it may if you put the right size, but as we've experienced, we've put both JPEG GIFs in both the root and the DCIM folders. There is no direct picture folders, and we also put PNG, and PNG was the only one it read.
Yeah, so it won't really read GIFs, BMPs, or a lot of other formats. It seems as though it really likes the PNGs.
Right, and this picture is actually wanting to go a little bit longer, so we've tried to scroll over there, and it wouldn't really go there. There's not really any options. It's just kind of like anything you do just makes the reader flash.
Yeah, it just hits the refresh button.
There's no options here either for you to do anything. There's no buttons, so you're kind of just locked into whatever you load on it.
So looking more at our library again, let's check out some PDFs.
So we have a very big file here, which we found it didn't take too long to load it. So we'll open it up for you. It's about 85 MB. And it's the Dungeons and Dragons Monster Manual. There we go. So you'll see here it automatically reflows, which is really nice. It does turn pages, no problem. If you do want the full page PDF experience, just tap in the middle. Usually, I've had to do that 2 times every time I do that. And we'll go to the very smallest font. And what that'll do is it actually enables the full page view. The pictures look good, headers are readable, any of the text is virtually unreadable, so you'll have to go into reflow mode. And you see that when Michael does a pinch and zoom, there's no live pinch and zoom, but at times you are able to do a pinch and zoom gesture, and it will actually zoom in, but a lot of the times it doesn't really work too well. It mostly just opens up the bars at the bottom, so if you do want that reflow capability, I don't know why it closed there. You can go just even one level up into the font styles, and then you've reflowed it for yourself.
Yeah, so I mean, not a lot of e-readers have built-in reflow functionality. I mean, Sony does it, Icarus does it, as well as Onyx Books does it, but that's pretty well about it.
I think the only ones that I can think of that does this style of customization, when you go to the smallest font size it shows the full page, is the Barnes & Noble Simple Touch reader, but other than that they all have pinch and zoom functionality, and they all handle it a lot better than this.
Yeah, so I mean, you can go to what we had there and sort of go to, you know, specific chapters and things like that.
It's kind of like a quick jump.
Yeah. So it's a fairly bare bones e-reader. This is only going to cost you like a little over $100 or so. So you're not going to be able to break the bank. I like the fact that it does read e-books from other bookstores, so you can do business with who you want.
See, we've used it just for a little bit, and the battery is draining much quicker than we've noticed on other e-readers. This one seems to not have as much of a capacity as, say, the Amazon line and the Kobo line.
Well, I noticed that the battery was severely diminishing when we were downloading and installing Android apps. It seemed that was the key that really killed it. Of course, you can put in a micro SD card to boost up your memory. And what are your final thoughts?
I really like how you can download Android APK files. I love it. Right out of the box, you can put the Good e-Reader App Store, you can put Barnes & Noble Reader, Amazon Reader, Kobo Reader, anything you want, really, that is an APK, and download it right onto there. We'll do a future video to show you the kind of inner workings of how everything kind of functions on this device, because there's no real way to access it. That's about the only thing I like about this, because you can't access, there's no file explorers, and even when you put a file explorer on there, like ES File Explorer, you won't be able to find the file explorer because you have no default file explorer. The bookstore is not really a bookstore, it's more of just another one of these. You just choose what link you want it to go to. The pictures is very strange how it only reads one format. There's no other buttons to do anything. There's just this one back button. There's no categories, there's no folders, there's nothing on this device. And the only other thing I would say I agree with is you can expand the memory up to 32 gigs, which is awesome. But that's about the extent of it for me.
Yeah, I mean, it reads books, and that's about all I would really use this for. I mean, it is kind of cool to surf the internet, but the browser is very sluggish, and I mean, accessing the internet in general on e-readers is not really kind of what you want to do. Right,
and I would say I agree with you. It does read books, and that is what it was made to do. However, if I'm gonna buy an e-reader to read books, I'd buy a $69 Kindle, because that just does it so much better.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if I totally 100% recommend this, but as you can see from our video review, we did run into some problems. So let us know what you think. If you have this and you want to rant and rave or share some kudos, you can comment on this video. If you're watching this video on other web pages, you can visit our channel at youtube.com/goodereader. And for all the latest news, previews, and everything else, you can visit our website at goodereader.com. And for Good e-Reader, my name is Michael.
My name is Peter.
Everybody take care.